Question number 3, Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by his statement in relation to the SkyCity Convention Centre deal? Quotes, "It's 1,000 jobs to build it, given steelmaking and fitting work has gone to a Thai company at the cost of 100 jobs."
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes, not only will the Convention Centre create an estimated 1,000 jobs during construction, but I'm advised it will support a further 1,140 jobs once it's up and running. That's 340 more jobs than originally estimated, and I'm duty-bound to point out 2,140 more jobs than if the member had had his way and scrapped the entire Convention Centre.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
What conditions did his government put in the deal with SkyCity to ensure that convention centre work went to Kiwi companies and Kiwi workers?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, there was standard contracting done, but that was done by Fletcher's. But Fletcher's made it clear that there would be an estimated 1,000 jobs in New Zealand. As I said, these jobs in relation to the ones that will be in Thailand for steel are part of a joint venture with a Whangarei company called Cullen Engineering, who are joining hands with Herrick Corporation of the United States, who are doing some work in Thailand. As a result of that, 50 additional jobs will be created in Whangarei, but well over 1,000 jobs in total will be created. In fact, 2,140 by the time the thing is up and running.
Fantastic.
Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Has the Prime Minister seen any other reports of government trading regulatory favours for low-cost Thai labour?
The
Speaker.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I am aware of a work that's been undertaken through cheap Thai labour in Samoa, but the man said, and I quote, he was consistent of nothing more than helping his constituents. That, of course, was Taito Phillip Field.
Order.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Order.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Order. Order. This is a point of order. It will be heard in silence. Andrew Little.
Mr Speaker, it's become apparent that the member for Epsom is now routinely using question time to raise questions that bear little or no relation to the primary question of the supplementary that he's asking. And in this case, asking a question about a matter that is absolutely not the business of this House at all.
Order. Order. I watch all supplementaries, but I watch the supplementaries coming from Mr Seymour with particular vigour. On this occasion, I made a relatively instant decision that the question was in order. I had no idea where the answer would go. I can't preempt where an answer will go, but if at any time I sense a question has been put down for no other reason than to attack an opposition party, I will, as I've done in the past, rule it out of order. The member makes a reasonable point. I will be as vigilant. Order. I will be as vigilant as I can. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
When he changed the law to give SkyCity $527 million of gambling concessions, did he think they would repay him by sending convention centre jobs overseas?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, the Convention Centre is going to create 1,000+ Kiwi jobs in construction. It may annoy the member because it's going to create 2,140 jobs in total. And mark my words, those members will be at the official launch, just like they were with the Hobbits. They criticised it, then they went off to the Premier.
And that answer won't help the order of the House. Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Is it a good thing for New Zealand that steelwork on the government's flagship economic project for Auckland is now going overseas?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, it's not going overseas unless the member counts Whangarei as overseas. Mr Speaker, because 50 jobs will be created in Whangarei. But Mr Speaker, New Zealand companies have the opportunity to pitch on a great many deals, and in fact the latest WTO government procurement agreement that was signed last year gives Kiwi businesses access to $2.3 trillion worth of overseas government contracts. Yes, some work's done overseas, but a lot of New Zealanders do work overseas. It goes both ways.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Is he aware that over 2,000 metal manufacturing jobs have now been lost under his government?
The Right Honourable Prime
Speaker,
Minister.
I can't confirm that number. But what I can confirm is that we're in the height of probably the biggest building boom we've seen in this country for a very long time. And that's both residential and in relation to commercial, Mr. Speaker. I was at the launch with the Minister of Transport just last week for the CRL, which no doubt will be using a great deal of steel. And Mr. Speaker, as a result of the SkyCity Convention Centre, 50 jobs will be created in Whangarei, just in relation to that alone. And I bet you that member won't go up there and tell those people at Colour Engineering...
Order. The question's been well addressed.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Prime Minister, if, as he said yesterday to News Hub, that his government has, quote, a New Zealand first policy, we always try and employ New Zealanders first, end of quote, what happened with the SkyCity deal?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I think the words I used were Kiwis first, because I'm fundamentally opposed to New Zealand first.
Order.
Point of order.
Order. A point of order, Ron Mark. I hope it's a reasonable point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I seek leave of the House to table the transcript of the Prime Minister's interview.
Order. That is not... No, I'm not going to even put the leave.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
With unemployment up by 50,000 under his watch, why doesn't he have any policy to ensure that Kiwis have a fair shot at getting jobs created by government-backed projects?
The Right Honourable
Speaker,
Prime Minister.
The member's starting to look like a fool. The economy created 200,000 jobs in the last 3 years. There are more Kiwis in work than ever before. The SkyCity deal creates 2,140 jobs, and no amount of crocodile tears from the member will do anything other than to prove to Aucklanders that, thank goodness, they have a national-led government.
Supplementary.
Order.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
If he wants to finally reverse his terrible record on unemployment, including for steel workers in New Zealand, will he back my bill to ensure the government buys Kiwi-made and backs Kiwi workers?
200,000. Mr. Speaker,
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
New Zealand has the third highest employment rate in the world. There are more New Zealanders in work than ever before under this national-led government. There will be 2,140 more of them as a result of the SkyCity Convention Centre. And yes, of course, in any contract like this, some work is done overseas and some work is done locally. That's quite normal. But that also means that New Zealand companies get to export their products around the world and involved in some of the biggest projects. I've been to a number of huge projects around the world where New Zealand architects, New Zealand companies, New Zealand engineers, New Zealand builders and others have been involved. The member might want to live in Fortress New Zealand along with the Greens at a sort of Morris dancing session, but the rest of us won't.
Order. Order. Point of order. Point of order, David Seymour.
Mr. Speaker, I waited till the end of that question because I think it's bad form to interrupt with points of order.
Can I have the point of order, please?
But in reference to Mr. Little's point of order, if he listened carefully to what I said, it was actually an attack on the
government. The member will resume his seat immediately. That matter was tidied up some time ago. Mark Mitchell, question number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.